Hello and hello again, this is Tibblewinkles and we are back in Belladonna. So, last time we sort of read up on the history between the Belladonna and the scientist, and now we're trying to deal with a cat. And I have a feeling that it has something to do with milk bowl and poison for some odd reason. Journal page. Oh well, let's do this.
More letters. Can someone tell me what happened to poor Clara?
She died. Some time has passed since the demise of Clara. As I calm down and regain control over my emotions, it occurs to me that there are some mysterious circumstances concerning her death. The sickness that came over her was swift and sudden indeed. Admittedly, my own medical knowledge is limited, but it still seems to me that such an instant and terminal change in the bodily humours should not occur naturally. Could it be that she somehow ingested something that made her sick? But what? And from that line of thought, it is not a far leap to ponder if she was murdered. It was long ago that I lost track of the details of my husband's deranged research, but I do know he handles lethal substances and obscure chemicals. How easy it would have been for him to slip something into Clara's food. So then, why would he do such a thing? Did he know about our affair? We were very careful, but perchance he guessed it despite our efforts. He would not go so far as murder based solely on a guess, would he? The distressing truth is, I no longer have any way of telling that what Wolfram is capable of. It is of vital importance that these notes never reach any eyes but my own. These are grave accusations I am scribbling down, and in ways of proof. I do not even have anywhere to start looking, and yet the possibility is there, gloating in its simplicity. It is so difficult to read long lines of text with a stuffy nose, and I really hate it. Okay, let's have a look at the lantern.
This lantern might prove to be the very first thing that actually manages to shed some light on my situation. I'll keep it.
Oh,
Nothing
you.
inside.
Oh, you.
Belladonna. This little plant has caused a lot of trouble. For a flower, it's not particularly beautiful, but for a murder weapon, it sure is.
Yes, it is. And I think I know what to do with it, but there's another journal page. Let's read it.
A journal page.
Did Wolfram murder poor Clara? Or did he not? My situation has reached a point where it hardly makes any difference. I still cannot prove anything, but my conviction of his sin is only growing stronger. I cannot look at his face without seeing a murderer, nor not to listen to his voice without hearing the words of an evil man. And the coward knows it. He sees the judgment in my eyes, and he shrinks away from it like the rodent he is, guilty or not. He could not act more like a culprit if he so confessed his crime in the town square. If he was hiding in his laboratory before, now he practically lives there. We both realized that he lacks the courage to meet my gaze, and after that he simply stopped coming back upstairs. The villain, the fiend. He can rot away in his dungeon, forgotten by the world, his remaining days spent in darkness and solitude. I will not forgive him. How could I? Even when he has provided me with nothing but misery since the day we met. The living areas of this castle are mine now, and if my husband is incapable of even confronting me, he shall have no benefit from them. Curse my miserable existence. Big tree.
It's a large tree. Looks very peaceful. Couldn't I have been reincarnated into one of those instead of being forced back into this mess?
Good question.
Yes, those are indeed boxes.
And what's in the boxes? I would like to know. But apparently you are not going to tell me, so we are going to go somewhere else. Mausoleum?
What a marvelous mausoleum. The plaque says Francisca Canosa. This must be the resting place of the lady from the portrait in the study.
Yes indeed. So that's to the greenhouse. Oh, now I see it. There's the path that goes right up to the greenhouse. And that's open grave, and that's Clara's grave, right? Okay. What does this grave say?
The stone is so old and the name is worn off.
Okay, fine enough. Fair enough, fair enough. I see it. I see a shovel. Can I use it? No, it doesn't highlight the shovel. So there's tombstones, small grave, go inside. Okay. So my suspicions is this Belladonna, we are going to use it on this mortar and pestle. Not mortal and pestle.
It's a mortar. And a pestle too. They seem to belong here.
Well done. Mortar and
Let's
pestle.
grind this plant into powder.
What is that? Was there a candle? Oh, I thought some of these drawers were openable. Okay, Belladonna powder.
Is this how Clara died?
Kinda. Your cogs are working a bit better. I see the wheels in your head turning. Living room. Have I been to the living room? Oh, yes, I have. To the study then. There we go. Well, we're just going to use this poisoned milk bowl for the cat.
Yes, this should put an end to the grim reign of this beast.
Jolly. That used to be your pet cat when you were a living person. But something tells me that you're not quite Belladonna.
Look, it's a key, and it has a funny tassel attached to it. No wonder the cat wanted to play with it. The animal must have managed to steal a key somehow.
Yes it did. Okay, journal page.
This is strange. This is Belladonna's signature, but the handwriting is just wrong.
Oh, okay, this is going to be a bit difficult. Just one moment. Let's have a quick look. I write to exercise my brain. I find that my thoughts become more firm and solid if I force myself to put them down on paper. It doesn't matter what I write as long as I can learn to think again and to remember. I must try to and remember. I have no idea how long I have been this way. A walking corpse, a mimicry of human life, an Unmensch. Okay, is that German by perchance? This is all the doings of my despicable husband. He could not be happier, the villain. He got what he wanted, an obedient wife, a beautiful gelatia that exists solely for his pleasure. If only he knew. These notes are the center of my universe, and I keep them well hidden. He doesn't know. He has no idea. The thought has not occurred to him that I might be a thinking being, and I intend to keep it that way. I am slowly and secretly, meticulously pulling my consciousness out of a black void. At first, I truly was a mechanical toy, responsive but never proactive. But gradually I began to regain capacity for thought, and I quickly realized that I needed to keep it a secret. These thoughts were now the only things in the world that truly belonged to me. Beginning to think again was horrible. In many ways, even worse than the state of blissful ignorance from which I had just emerged. I only managed to scribble down single, disconnected words at a time. More emotions than thoughts. Impulses, perhaps. My hands and fingers were stiff and clumsy. I remember cutting myself on the sharp pen once and not being able to prevent the blood flow. I thought that would be the end for me. Surely Wolfram would notice the blood on my hands and get suspicious, but no, the self-absorbed fool merely stitched me up and let me go. I sometimes play with the idea of what I would have to do to prove to him that I am a person. But I won't. The monster has other plans. So you refer to yourself as a monster. Okay, we got a tassel key. What happened to the other key
The door is locked.
Okay, what about if we use the tassel key? Brilliant. So, let's use a tiny key on a toy collection.
Interesting.
Well, maybe it's a key to open a toy box, who knows? Had to try it. Journal page, yes. As my consciousness grows stronger, so does my hatred for my husband. Each morning he brings me with him down to the laboratory and places me in a corner. There I will stand for the rest of the day, still as a statue, silent as death. Occasionally he'll throw me a glance or a smile, and I find my body smiling warmly back, almost like a reflex, and this indoctrination disgusts me. I am a living decoration, a breathing statue of flesh, his wind-up toy bride, but little does he suspect my eyes are darting across the room, secretly and attentively following his smallest movements. I carefully memorize every step he takes, every note he writes down, every tiny detail of his ghoulish discovery. If only he knew how fast I am learning, what a willing student I am. As of late, he has even picked up the habit of explaining his scientific work aloud. It helps him think, I suppose, and I nod and smile and give him a little encouraging laughs at all the right places. He is muttering his darkest secrets to me, and I drink it all up. And oh, if only he knew just how close he brushes with his own demise. Hundreds of times each day he is close enough for my hands to reach up and snap his neck, my strong fingers around his throat, slowly squeezing his precious life out of him. But no matter how close he stands, my arms will not move. I am a prisoner in my own corpse, staring out through glassy eyes but unable to will any action into my own dead limbs. Call for me and I will walk, ask me a question and I will talk, but my rotting brain is unable to form initiatives of its own. I am a golem following orders. Yet with each passing night my willpower grows stronger. I write my thoughts down diligently and practice my mental capacities with all the resolve I have. The results are slow but reliable. One day soon I will have the tenacity to strike. And as soon as the time comes, strike I will. One of these days his lovely life-sized doll will suddenly find the power within her to execute her swift revenge. Belladonna von Towerschloss. Those... I haven't noticed that those were signed by each other's. Proceed to the next room. Is there anything else to look at? No. Broken mirror. Okay, let's have a look at the wardrobe because it's the closest.
That's a big wardrobe. I bet you could hide a corpse in there. Actually, I better not open it and check.
You're already a corpse, I don't think you'd need to worry about it. Broken mirror.
The mirror is completely shattered. I think someone in here didn't really like their reflection.
Maybe your own.
Let's take a look inside. Coils of rope. I wonder why we're keeping rope in the bedroom.
Right.
I wonder if this key fits. There's a key hidden inside. A very important one.
Okay.
Is she dead? She doesn't move a muscle, yet she sits upright. She's like a mannequin of human flesh.
Journal page.
A note.
Failure. The attempt was a failure. I could not lure my lost lover back into her deceased corpse. All my preparations in vain. All alone now. No one to return my key.
Interesting, but no. I don't know why I thought that would work.
Okay, so what if I...
Clara, it really is you. I was so certain I'd never see you again. You didn't wake up.
I woke up. I've been wandering lost ever since, trying to find out what's going on.
How are you feeling? Do you remember me?
Oh.
I have no memories of you, or of myself. But I found some notes lying around. I can only assume you're the one called Belladonna?
I am Belladonna, murdered and reanimated by Dr. von Trauerschloss. At first a mindless mechanical doll, but I slowly regained control over my brain. And when the time was right, I broke free.
I saw the doctor's body.
Yes, I crushed his skull. Standing over his blood-soaked remains, I was free at last.
But where did I come from? If he was dead, was it you who brought me back?
Yes, my love. You were the only thing on my mind as I stood there, alone and victorious. I had secretly watched the doctor's process, and I desperately wanted to believe that I could get you back. I unearthed your grave and carried your dead body down to the laboratory. I did everything right, to the smallest detail, but you didn't wake up. And my time was running out. I can't turn my own key, and now that I was alone in the castle, I knew my life force would run out quickly. But for all my effort, you remained dead, and with no one to keep me vital, I eventually sat down here and just stopped.
But I did wake up.
Yes, apparently you did. Your body had been in the ground for quite some time. Perhaps that made the reanimation process slower, but with your key powering your brain directly, you did not have to go through the drawn-out, sluggish wake-up. I take it your cognitive powers and language have been with you from the start.
Well, yes.
Excellent. Then I have even improved on the doctor's method, but I doubt independent thinking and free will was ever in his interest to reproduce.
Do you think you could do it again?
Create more of us, you mean? Yes, I hold the secret of life and death, and I plan to use it. The experimentations must continue.
And the two of us will have no place in this world.
Quite right. So, we'll make us a place. Dead bodies will never be in short supply. We'll make more of our kind, a whole new race of the damned.
Where do we start?
I know for a fact that there's a fresh body lying out there in the Great Hall.
The doctor.
His flesh, at least. We won't be using his wretched brain. I've already destroyed it in any case. But the body will do. We will have to find a few other ingredients. Will you help me?
Of course I will.
Thank you, my love. I'll carry the body down to the laboratory and start with the preparations, and in the meantime you can help me with a few other things. The doctor's brain is completely destroyed. I made sure of that. I don't think any of us want his villainous brain back amongst us. We're going to need to find a new one. Secondly, we will also need some clockwork parts. We have to manufacture a force to keep the dead body going. Thirdly, not only the brain, but also the head and the cranium were damaged. If we can find a new head, that would save a lot of the reconstructing effort.
Okay, so this has become a point-and-click adventure. Hopefully all the reading is done for now.
I saw a brain preserved in alcohol down in the laboratory.
Oh, you did? That's good. That, my dear, is the brain of baby Lucas.
Your son?
Lucas was never buried. The doctor had the body cremated very quickly and thus incinerated all the evidence that the corpse was not complete. He had stolen the brain and kept it for himself. I don't know what he claimed about not planning on resurrecting his child, but the truth is that he kept the brain all the same.
And now you want your child back?
No, my dear. It's just a brain. I wanted you back, so I took great care to preserve your personality. But this brain is young and has been dead for very long. I suppose the creation will be my child, in a way, but not my son Lucas.
Clockwork?
Yes, we need something to supply the body with the force to move. We can't make the heart beat again, so we use the spring-loaded clockwork. In the future, we'll have to think of a source of parts more reliable than salvaging old-time pieces, but that'll do for now.
I see.
Thank you.
A head?
Will we need to find a fresh human head?
Yes, I've smashed up the head of Wolfram rather frivolously. I'm afraid it's beyond rescue. I was thinking of my grandmother, Francesca Canosa. I'm sure you've seen her portrait in the study. She was buried some time ago, but her cranium should be sufficiently preserved. She rests in the mausoleum in the cemetery outside, but there is a hidden way into the tomb behind the armor in the basement.
Oh, there we go.
Was it Francesca's portrait I saw in the study?
Yes, Francesca Canosa was my grandmother. My family moved to this country several generations ago. My father, named Hugo, gave me the name Belladonna to allude to our ancestry. I was the last of the Canosas, and I acquired the name von Trauerschloss through marriage. And now, well, now I'm not very concerned with human family names. We will not reproduce in a mother-daughter kind of way, so what use will we have of family names?
Right, okay. A woman's head?
Your grandmother. Will it not cause problems to attach a woman's head to a man's body?
No, I don't see how it would make any difference in this new race of ours. We do not even reproduce sexually, so not even that significance is relevant.
What do you mean we don't reproduce sexually? How do you know?
I spent quite some time with Wolfram dead and mindless, you know. I can safely say that, though we do experience all the physical sensations of intercourse, we cannot become pregnant or bear children.
I see. I'll go take a look behind the suit of armor.
Thank you.
Alright. Well, you didn't need to go into that much detail, but there you have it. Ew.
Some things have been puzzling me. Did I used to have hair?
You had beautiful hair. Unfortunately, I had to shave it all off in order to operate on your head and open your cranium.
Yet, you're not bald.
I was revivified directly after my death, when my body was still fresh. You, my dear, had been in the ground for quite some time. I had to reconstruct large parts of your decomposed corpse.
That explains the metal construction holding together my skull.
I have my fair share of screws and bolts myself, but they are carefully hidden. I opted to sacrifice your pretty hair so that I could work more on preserving your brain. Something the good doctor did not do for me.
Will it grow back?
I don't rightly know. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see.
I want to ask something else.
I'm here for you.
What is this I'm wearing?
I'm so sorry about that. I covered you in scraps and bandages I found in the laboratory. I had to cut open and discard most of what you were buried in order to stitch you up. I want you to know that my plan was to be right next to you when you woke up, to help you understand and to find a proper dress. I'm so sorry it didn't come to pass like that.
Okay. Well, I don't think she cares about the cat, but
On my way in
let's
here,
see.
I killed a cat. It was in my way and it felt so natural to just dispose of it. It worries me a bit.
How so?
I may have a functional brain, but what about a soul? Shouldn't there be something in me stopping me from hurting others? Or at least making me feel bad about it?
You're right. It did come very natural for me to murder my husband. But I'm not too worried about this. I have no desire to commit unnecessary killings, and I do have control over my actions.
What if you're raising an army of cold-hearted mass murderers?
They won't be mass murderers any more than you and I. And besides, why should we prioritize the lives of the living above the lives of the dead?
I want
Alright
to
then.
ask something else.
I'm here for you.
Okay. Yeah, that's another good question.
Why did you put this wind-up mechanism in my head? Yours is in your back.
Yes, the damned doctor had placed my wind-up mechanism in my back. It goes straight into my chest and heart, giving me a strong central of power. But it is placed outside my own reach.
So, you can't turn it yourself?
No, I can't. I have to depend on others. That's why I chose to put the key in the back of your head, well within reach of your own hands. I know what it means to not be in control of your own existence, and I will never put someone else in the situation I am in.
Wow, how considerate.
Thank you.
Of course,
I want to ask
Okay,
something
then.
else.
I'm here for you.
Okay, now I think we got
I'll
everything now.
start looking for the objects then.
Thank you. Come talk to me if there's something you're unsure.
So, can I check
That's
the
a big
wardrobe?
wardrobe. I bet you could hide.
Well, you said you... Oh, come on. You could just go ahead and change her clothing right now. You just said, oh, I'm sorry that we won't be able to... I wasn't able to, be there when you woke up. And blah-de-blah-de-blah. Oh, wait. I need to go to the basement. And, as we were talking, Clara was standing there right next to Belladonna, which means they had ample time to play dress up or whatever. But no, Belladonna decided that it would be more important to play around with corpses. Priorities. Okay, then let's just go. Roland, what's your name?
Belladonna was right. There is a secret switch behind Roland the poet.
Roland the poet. Brilliant.
It's too dark down there. I won't see my hands in front of me unless I light the crypt up first.
You don't need to. You have.
I'll just tie this rope to the lantern.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yes, I can lower the lantern.
Right, okay. But what?
Amazing. I must be directly underneath the mausoleum in the cemetery.
Yes, we are. We have a journal
I can't
page.
believe it. It's another letter. How did it end up down here?
Maybe it just rolled down there. Clara Stieber. After insistent probing from my Lady Belladonna, I too take to the pen come evening. The scribbling does not come as readily for me as it does for her, yet I do most certainly see the appeal in the activity. So much has happened in my life of late, my brain is overflowing with joy and secrets and disorder, and if I manage to write down a map but a fraction of it all, that would be an enormous relief. Verily, it all centres around Belladonna, this queen regnant of the castle, who has turned her benevolent face towards me, and thus filled my person with happiness I had previously thought unimaginable. I still remember the first time I saw her, standing next to her husband, when I took up work in the household, and I remember how she seemed to me to glow. The two of them lost a child shortly after that, and the tragedy would linger in the castle for a long time. All the other servants started to leave one by one, but as much as I wanted to, I found myself unable. I kept postponing my departure with each new day, and I found myself dancing around Belladonna's flame, drawn to it as strongly as I had been from that first glance. By the time she finally recovered from her melancholy, I was the only one left in the castle, and it was at this time the miracle happened. Belladonna saw me in a new way. This tempestuous affair, galloping and world-shaking, and yet so quiet, so hidden. The castle is ours to rule as we please, but only as long as we do not arouse the suspicion of the grave robin gobbling in the basement. It is as if I have stepped into one of the fairy stories my grandmother used to tell. But Nana's stories always ended with someone losing their head or being eaten alive. Though seemingly everlasting, this bliss of ours, a seed of doubt is growing in my heart. Belladonna is married after all, and who am I to break their wedlock? Theirs is not a happy union, true, but I am seducing my love to break her vows and soil her soul. And what wretched ruin will that bring upon us? For a long while, Belladonna was all I dreamed about, my queen and goddess, and my deepest wish was for her to let me into her life and let me worship her. I thought I would give up anything for that, but now that I am here, I wonder if I have sacrificed too much. Belladonna comes from high society and she doesn't realize just how much she takes for granted. It is still clear who is the lady and who is the servant. Can I keep on living like this, or will I have to do the unthinkable and leave her? I made Belladonna promise not to read anything I wrote, and looking at what I have just put down in ink to the weight of that promise is clear. I have forged into words thoughts I did not know I had, and it is vital that these pages remain secluded from prying eyes. Secrets upon secrets. I shall hide this letter inside the old armour in the basement, whom I shall call Ronald the Bard, where I doubt anyone will find it. I am descending into that dungeon as soon as I am done here, and I will hide this note on my way, as the master has asked me to fetch for him a certain plant from the greenhouse. As strange as this whole situation is, I must still obey his requests, if only to keep up appearances. Angel statue.
Another angel. Are you the third sibling? What did you do to get put down here? Is your name Gwendolyn? Here's Francisca's coffin, but the lid is much too heavy for me to lift. Maybe I could break it open, but I'll need some sort of big hammer or mace for that.
And this is where the candlestick comes in handy.
Things one does for love. You look very peaceful, but I do so need your head. How shall I remove it? With some surgical tool from the laboratory, perhaps?
Well, there was a saw, but you didn't bother taking it. Oh, there's the bloodstains. Okay, to the laboratory. Toolbox.
The toolbox is empty.
Where's the saw then? I need a saw. Brain in a jar. Skull. Now where is the saw?
It never moves when I look at it, but it just sort of twitches in my periphery.
Am I going to use a screwdriver? Am I going to use a screwdriver to remove that poor woman's head? Okay, then let's try that out. Screwdriver.
I need something else.
Good. Common sense
I don't
prevails.
know what I thought.
Yep, common sense prevails. Okay, let's talk to Belladonna and see if she has any solution to this.
Books. A lot of natural philosophy and chemistry. Something by an M.W. Shelley.
Right, I need to find a saw, but where is it? Okay, let's talk to Bella.
Welcome to the Lab of Horrors.
I found something else in the crypt. Another note. One I'd written myself when I was alive. I think we need to talk.
What is the matter, dear?
It's just... forget it. It doesn't matter. Let's focus on what we're doing here.
Yes, let's get this creation moving.
I'll get going.
Okay then, where can I get a saw? Okay then, I'm just going to... Oh, there we go, there's a bone saw.
Ooh, surgical tools. Shiny.
Okay then, I am not going to get the head yet, because I can get that on the way back, because I am going to dismantle that clock with what I hope to be the screwdriver. Okay, screwdriver, the grandfather clock. I wonder why it's called the grandfather clock. I should look that up.
This faithful screwdriver will do the trick. Time to turn this old clock into a slightly peculiar wardrobe.
Slightly peculiar wardrobe indeed. But of course we get clockwork, but there's also like don't you need like bigger cogs? Who knows? Hello, grandmother. Sorry.
Now to carefully remove the head. It's remarkably well preserved.
Verily. Yeah. Yes.
The body of a deranged murderer, the decomposed head of an old lady, the brain of a small child. How could this possibly go wrong?
How did you manage to reach up there? Never mind. I think we got everything now.
I have Francesca's head.
Well done. Just give it to me and I will attach it to the neck.
I took some parts from the old clock.
Well done. Let me put them into the creation.
I have the brain.
Well done. Please give it to me.
I'll get going.
Oh, I need to give it to her.
I'll get going.
Thank you, dear.
Got a brain, got a severed head,
Thank you, dear.
and that's the head, and it's clockwork.
Thank you, dear. The creation is complete.
Righto.
All we need to do now is force life into these dead limbs. That big switch on the wall initiates the procedure. Will you have the honor, my dear?
Gladly.
And then we put on the switch.
The time has come. I've wanted to pull this thing since the first time I saw it.
It's alive.
Okay. So we create a army of corpses, and apparently we are going... Oh, we also reanimated the cat. Check it out. But the cat isn't capable of turning a cog. Maybe it'll bat it away. Who knows? So now yeah, so there we go. A game by Nicholas Hallen, voices by Tess Baines, and original music by Michael Chait. So that is Belladonna, a sort of Gothic horror story game based on literature in which I unfortunately haven't read, apart from a collection of H.P. Lovecraft stories. And I have to say that it is very well written. All of the journal pages, although it was like very jarring to the gameplay, was very well written. It told a story through narrative, and that's what the old literature. I'm saying old literature, but I have no other better wording for that. So that's what a lot of Gothic horror literature seem to do. They write it in the narrative of the person who experienced it. And Belladonna does a really good job on recreating such a thing. And I don't think I have anything else to say because I'm not very much of an expert in these sort of topics. Well, anyway, thank you very much for watching. If I did a good job, give us a thumbs up. Any thoughts, please leave them in the comment section down below. And I hope to see you in our next horror. Bye bye.